We are now on the chapter 10 of the book, which is entitled Creating a Positive School Culture. This chapter emphasizes that school culture matters because this influences to a great extent how well students perform. So school culture can either be positive or negative. So the objectives of this chapter is at the end of the lesson, we should be able to explain the meaning of school culture, discuss how school culture affects learning, and cite ways by which you can contribute to the building of positive culture. But before we begin with the proper discussion, let me tell you first what are the terms we are going to encounter throughout this lesson. So the terms we are going to discuss are school culture, culture as a social construct, school climate and school culture, the difference of those two, the role of school culture in learning, the elements of positive culture, shared norms by the teachers and students, and by the end of this video, we are giving you the summary and the takeaways of the entire lesson.
We're going to tackle about the meaning of school culture. School culture is one of the most complex and important concepts in education. When we say school culture, it means that it is all about our beliefs, our perceptions, our values, our written or unwritten rules, our traditions that influence and shape of how a school functions. Here are some of studies. According to Scott and Marzano of 2014, they states that school is reinforced by norms, expectations, and our traditions. It simply means that school culture is strongly guided by our norms, our expectations, and our traditions that help us to enhance our ability to learn, to adapt everyone's cultures, and a positive school culture provide a safe, supportive, and encouraging environment that helps students to achieve their goals. Next, school culture as a social construct. Cultures are socially constructed, not a genetic construct. Culture is something that we do not inherit or pass on through the genes. We create and shape our own culture. Through cultures, people and groups define themselves, what they are, and where they belong.
Good morning, everyone. My task for today is to expound the meaning of school climate, the school culture, and the role of school culture in learning. So, first, we discuss what is the school climate. So, school climate refers to the school's effects on the students, including teaching practices, diversity, and the relationships among administrators, teachers, parents, and students. So, school climate is the school's effects on the students' learning. It is important that the students feel comfortable in their classroom settings, and also, students must feel free to speak out their own ideas and knowledge so that they can gain more confidence to participate in the class, including teaching practices. In terms of teaching practices, the different methods and teaching strategies used by the teacher must be easy to understand by the students because we all know that as a students, not all of us are fast learners. There are late bloomer students in the classroom too. So the different teaching techniques can make a very big impact to those late bloomer students to cope up in the lesson. Diversity and relationships among administrator, teacher and students are the most valuable aspects to maintain peace and harmony in the school. So school culture. School culture can be positive or negative. It states here that school culture is a deeper level of reflection of shared values, beliefs, and tradition between staff members. If the school possesses these aspects, such as shared values, respect one's belief and traditions, promotes unity and peace towards different tribes of students and teachers, it is then and only then we can say that the school culture effects is positive. Now, what is the role of school culture in learning? So research confirms the central role of culture to success. School culture can be positive or negative or toxic, as what I've said earlier. A positive school culture fosters improvement. collaborative efforts, and decision making. Professional development between staff and students learning. Teachers are like second mothers to every students. They possess all the positive aspects that they have to all of their students. A negative school culture fosters all the opposite of the positive school culture. So that's all for my report. Once again, good morning. Thank you and keep safe, everyone.
Elements of a positive culture. So elements of the positive culture is the norms of school culture where people and programs improve. So first is the collegiality. Collegiality is where companionship and cooperation between colleagues who share responsibility. It is where school atmosphere is friendly. You work in an atmosphere where responsibility and authority are shared by everyone. It is where you can be yourself. You do not need to put your best forward to impress others. So next is the experimentation. Experimentation is the action or process of trying out new ideas, methods, or the activities. Experimentation atmosphere encourages experimentation, and so will welcome mistakes as part of the learning process. So here, no student, no teachers get punished when making mistakes. Edison once said, "I did not fail. I just made 10,000 ways that did not work." So that means that it's okay to make mistakes as long as we learn from it. So that is experimentation. Third is the high expectation. High expectation, it has been said one's level of achievement is always lower than one's level of aspiration. So set high expectations for high achievements. But according to Robert J. Marzano, there are two problems arise with high expectation. First is the expectations are subtle and difficult to change. Teachers may be unaware that they have low expectations for some students. Even when they become aware, they may have difficulty changing their expectations because their beliefs and biases have developed over the years. So, in here, Marzano said that teachers have biases and high and low expectations about the students. So, that cannot be changed, or if it will be changed, it needs years and years and years of practice. Second is what actually communicates expectations to their students is teachers' behavior. If teachers consciously work to change their biases but don't change their behavior toward those students from whom they have tended to expect less, their change of attitude will have little effect on students' achievement. So, according to Marzano, teachers' attitude is very important in having high expectations to the students. When according to BROPI 2008 and 2010, when teachers have high expectations for students and provide tasks that are engaging and of high interests, students build self-esteem, increase confidence, and improve academic performance. Fourth is trust and confidence. Students, teachers, school heads, and parents relate well and work well when relationships are solidly built on trust and confidence. Teachers cannot educate students who they have no confidence, and students cannot learn from teachers who they do not trust. So that is trust and confidence. Fifth is tangible support. Everyone in the school community gets concrete support for the good that they do. Support comes in not just in words but in action. So support is not just in words but also in action. So example of this is the school heads sees to it that LCDs in every classroom is working and is working well and functioning. So that is the example of tangible support. So next is reaching out to the knowledge base. Teachers care to grow professionally to update themselves on content knowledge and pedagogy. the first domain in the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers. Number 7 elements of a positive culture is appreciation and recognition. Certainly, words of appreciation and recognition make classroom climate highly favorable. A reminder to teachers, you are not made less when you praise others. Instead, you become magnanimous. So don't be stingy with your sincere praise. The problem here is that we only see the negative and neglect the positive. So we overlook the positive trait of the students. So when a teacher praises a student, it boosts its self-confidence. So next is caring, celebration, and humor. Kids don't care what you know until they know that you care. They don't listen to teachers when teacher doesn't care. If it may be good to remind teachers that many of students, especially those who struggle, don't receive nearly enough positive feedback in the classroom or in personal lives. When kids are taught with a proactive, praise-ahead approach, they tend to do better, said Aaron Green of Boys Town. But be specific. Generic, overly generalized comments such as good job don't really help. Complimenting a specific behavior such as thanks for showing respects to our visiting guests, on the other hand, reinforce that particular behavior. So, when teachers praise the students, they do better in school. Ninth element is involvement in decision making. Involving others who are concerned with decisions to be made enhances sense of ownership. They also feel important. Next element is protection of what is important. What schools consider important must form a part of their tradition and so must be protected by all means. For example, is the no soft drinks, no chocolate, etc. and Clego, because the school considers nutrition and health important, so that becomes their culture and tradition. Next is that tradition. A school must have an intentional culture-based program on shared values, beliefs, and behaviors. This strengthens sense of community. A truly positive school culture is not characterized by simply the absence of gangs, violence, or discipline problems, but also by the presence of a set of norms and values that focus school communities' attention on what is most important and motivate them to work hard toward a common purpose. Next and last element is honest and open communication. So in here, no one gets ostracized for speaking up his mind. So it is okay to speak on what is in your mind. The atmosphere is such that everyone is encouraged to speak his mind without fear of being ostracized. The agreement at every discussion is agree to disagree. So honest and open communication. Communication is necessary to communicate with each other, to speak and to know each other. So,
Good morning. As part of our last topic, creating a positive school culture, we're going to proceed now to the teachers and student norms. But before that, we're going to define what is norms. So norms is a rule or standard of behavior shared by members of the people in the society. Now, what is shared norms? So according to Boss and Lerner, the norms are both teacher and student contribute to a school positive school culture. Share teacher norm and student norms to contribute to a fair and an engaging learning environment, a characteristic of a positive school culture. And that is shared norms by teacher and students. Now, according to the project-based teaching and how to create rigorous and engaging learning experiences, let's talk about the teacher norms. So first, teacher in different ways. So, teaching is different in different ways is really important. Exploring strategies on how to teach students on what is suitable for them. 2. Call students by their names. So it's really important to call your students by their names so that they will be comfortable. 3. Care about students' feelings. So it's really important to be sensitive about the feelings of your student to show sympathy. Under that is understand the situation, of course. 4. Have a good attitude. So, not just the teachers, also the students, any people in the community must have a good attitude. Under that, stay calm, of course. Use kind words, have patience, greet students, and say goodbye. Number 5. Help students understand. So, in teaching, it is really part of teaching actually to help your student understand what you are saying. So, under that is work at a responsible pace, explain clearly, support different learning styles, expect the best, re-explain if necessary. Now let's proceed to the number 6. Attend school the majority of the time. So attendance is a must. 7. Be respectful. Of course, not just the students should be respectful, but also the teachers. Next is the student norms. So first, have a growth mindset. So under that is believe you can improve, fail forward, keep trying, speak positively about your abilities to learn. So positivity must foster to have a growth mindset. Second, call classmates by their names. So in a relationship, calling your names, if someone calls you by your names, it means you have this friendship, right, in school. 3. Be responsible for your work, of course, not just in work, in anything that you do, but of course in study, you need to be responsible. Under that is have materials ready, advocate for your work, be a professional, meet deadlines, participate, be on time to class. 4. Listen. Of course, not just, in anything that you do, you need to listen. Because listen means to understand. Under that is to the teacher, of course, listen to the teacher, to your classmates, to guests, to the direction, of course. You need to listen to everyone. B. Attend school the majority of the time. That's what they said. Attendance is a must. That's all. Thank you.
School culture refers to the beliefs, perceptions, relationships, attitudes, written and unwritten rules, and this shapes and influence the people and every aspects of how a school functions, or it is the attitude in the school. School culture influences how people think, feel, and act. School culture is the character of a school that gives the school qualities beyond its structure, resources, and practices. It is created by all the people in the school. It is not inherited and so is not passed on through the genes. So, school culture is a social construct and not a genetic construct. It is not inherited through the genes, but it is made through socializing and through the environment of the people. School culture includes school climate, and so school culture is broader than school climate. School climate is relational, while school culture is a deeper level of reflection of shared values, beliefs, and traditions. So, school climate is the school's effect on students. It is the daily interaction in the school, while school culture is how teachers and staffs works together. That's the difference between the school climate and the school culture. So the elements of the school culture consist of collegiality, experimentation, high expectation, trust and confidence, tangible support, reaching out to the knowledge base, appreciation and recognition, caring, celebration, humor, involvement in decision making, protection of what is important, traditions, and honest and open communications. These are the elements of a positive culture. Lastly, the shared norms, the teacher and the student norms, which also contribute to creating a positive culture and fair, engaging learning environment with teachers and students. So that's it for creating a positive culture.